So can I ask you a question?
What do you have? Go ahead. No, that's enough. Go ahead.
Can I ask? But that wasn't my question.
The problem is you don't write the truth. So, as far as I'm concerned, I want to go to the next
Can I
person.
ask you a question about?
No, not CNN, please. Go ahead.
The White House has not responded to these
I
allegations.
told you. CNN is fake news. Don't talk to me. Go ahead, please.
But he says he was retaliated against, and that's why he was removed from his job. Do you have a response to that?
Okay, next question.
Mr. President, I have
to hire a spokesperson just so that Elon Musk doesn't put out tweets that then confuse federal workers.
Are my press briefings not good enough for you, Jackie?
You're going to see some young faces in the next Trump administration. The president-elect announced his press secretary is going to be Karoline Leavitt. She is just 27 years old. She was a press secretary for his campaign. She was a fierce fighter and defender of his, both on the airwaves, going on all the different shows, and behind the scenes working with the press. So no surprise that he picked her. She was also a super young candidate not so long ago. In the 2022 midterms, she ran for Congress in her home state of New Hampshire. She did not succeed and then went on to work for the Trump campaign. And she's part of that new generation that was actually a big reason why Trump won the election. He won the youth vote by a way bigger margin than most Republicans have in recent years. And now he's bringing those new faces into his next administration.
Now, before I take questions, I would like to address an extremely dishonest narrative that we've seen emerging over the past few days. Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. Sure.
So U.S. consumer confidence fell this month the most since August of 2021. What is your message for Americans who are concerned about the impact of things such as tariffs on prices?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for that question. It's obviously an important one. The president campaigned on reigniting the Trump economy and fixing the mess that was created by the previous administration in this country, and they must be held accountable.
And something different. There is now a member of the European Parliament from France who does not think the U.S. represents the values of the Statue of Liberty anymore. They want the Statue of Liberty back. So is President Trump going to send the Statue of Liberty back to France?
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So the United States asked that. Mary.
Hey, thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask about this video that I saw this morning set to the tune of, I believe, Closing Time, about deportations of illegal migrants. What's the strategy behind the White House's videos they've been putting out on this, and can you kind of talk us through the thinking on these videos?
Sure. We are unafraid to message effectively what the president is doing on a daily basis to make our communities safer. And the specific video you referenced, I think it sums up our immigration policy pretty well. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Go ahead. Without his consent or knowledge. And that's not just the president or me raising those questions, Caitlin. According to the New York Post, there are Biden officials from the previous White House who raised those questions and wondered if the president was even consulted about his legally binding signature being signed onto documents. And so I think it's a question that everybody in this room should be looking into, because certainly that would propose perhaps criminal or illegal behavior if staff members were signing the president of the United States autograph without his consent.
Biden is on the record talking about issuing preemptive pardons to these people.
But was he aware of his signature being used on every single pardon? That's a question you should ask the Biden
Is
White
there any
House.
evidence on that he wasn't aware of?
You're a reporter. You should find to the woman in the purple, because I saw you were making a face at my previous answer. So what's going on?
Well, actually, I have a couple of questions. At the core of pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses and elsewhere is a demand to end the war in Gaza, a goal that this administration actually supports and has pursued. So why has this not been acknowledged or highlighted even?
Because these colleges in these protests have again put out Hamas propaganda. The only reason Democrats have changed their minds on Tesla is because Elon Musk changed his mind on Donald Trump. That's the bottom line. I know AOC, for instance, used to drive a Tesla. I'm not sure if she still does. If she still does, it's because she knows it's a great American-made product. And that's why President Trump was proud to review some of those models at the White House yesterday. He ultimately went with the red sports model. It's actually sitting at West Exec right here at the White House now. But as you said, the president purchased the Cybertruck for his granddaughter, which is a very nice gesture. He campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
That's
they
it.
don't get charged on foreign companies, they get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Past 4 years, we've seen the Biden administration spend money like drunken sailors. It's a big reason we've had an inflation crisis in this country, and it's incumbent upon this administration to make sure, again, that every penny is being accounted for honestly.
Why impose this pause with so little notice? Why not give organizations more time to plan for the fact that they are about to lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding, at least for a period of time?
There was notice. It was the executive order that the president signed. There's also a freeze on hiring, as you know, a regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration how hard the American people are working. And their tax dollars actually matter to this administration. You know, just during this pause, DOGE and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. DOGE and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that...
Are any officials here preparing to fight Democratic lawmakers in the streets?
Absolutely not.
So,
and thanks for the question.
Some elected Democrats are so steamed about DOGE. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver says we are at war. Ilhan Omar says we might actually see somebody get killed. And Chris Van Hollen says we have to fight this in the Congress. We have to fight this in the streets. So what now?
And may I just point out, if you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking about. Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers. That's all that is happening here, and for Democrat officials to incite violence and encourage Americans to take to the streets is incredibly alarming, and they should be held accountable for that rhetoric.
It sounds like something that they're most concerned about is DOGE engineers with access to Treasury systems. Can you clarify, do the DOGE engineers have read-only access in these systems, so they are not allowed to write new code? They are
Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws, and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
Can you point at the worst first? They all have a criminal record?
And welcome to the break.
If they broke our nation's laws, yes, they are a criminal, yes.
Snoop Dogg.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this video finds you. Welcome to Text
little afternoon podcast here because I will not be here tonight. Going to the movies about 9. Well, I got to leave about 8:30. So I'm getting the Wednesday stream out of the way right now. Apparently there was another Karoline Leave It press conference, and I love her press conferences because she is so spicy. Let's see what's popping tonight. Let's see what's going on. Well, what happened today? This is of course unwatched. I watched everything live right as you guys are watching it. I saw it happening. I was like, man, like, okay, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm gonna save it because it's best that we watch everything together, get genuine reactions. Let's get it going. Let's not waste time. Let's go.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we? It's a newsy day indeed. And last night we saw the very best of America. After spending nearly 300 days aboard the International Space Station, Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams are back on Earth. These two incredible astronauts were only supposed to be up there for 8 days, but because of the Biden administration's lack of urgency, they ended up spending 9 months in space. Joe Biden's lack of courage to act boldly and decisively was a big reason why Butch and Sunny did not make it back until yesterday. But President Trump doesn't waste time. Immediately after taking office, President Trump directed Elon Musk and SpaceX to rescue these brave astronauts alongside NASA. The president also called the acting administrator of NASA and told her to bring the astronauts home as soon as possible. As acting administrator Janet Petro said herself yesterday, per President Trump's direction, NASA and SpaceX worked diligently to pull the schedule a month earlier. The president looks forward to welcoming Butch and Sunny to the Oval Office when they are recovered. This historic mission brings new meaning to President Trump's promise to always look out for the forgotten man and woman. On another important matter, yesterday, President Trump and President Putin spoke about the need for peace and a ceasefire in the Ukraine war. Both leaders agreed this conflict needs to end with a lasting peace and also stressed the need for improved bilateral relations between the United States and Russia. President Trump also spoke with President Zelensky this morning to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their needs and requests. As President Trump has said repeatedly, the precious lives and money that both Ukraine and Russia have been spending in this war would be better spent on the needs of their people. This terrible conflict would have never started with President Trump in charge, but he's determined to end it once and for all.
All right.
President Trump also promised maximum transparency and a commitment to rebuild the trust of the American people in our intelligence community. Part of that promise was to fully release previously classified records related to the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy, and he made that happen yesterday. This historic release consisted of approximately 80,000 pages of previously classified records that are now published. The records are available to access either online at archives.gov/JFK or in person, accessible to the American people at the National Archives in College Park, Maryland.
All right, so I'll say again, depending on what, I mean, for some reason, what I saw was a link between Israeli intelligence and U.S. intelligence, but they never talked about, nobody's talked about the shooter. And I'll say again, Jordan Maxwell came to our store in the mid-90s. He showed it. Well, he didn't give us the tape. He showed us the tape. Did we make a copy? Yeah, we did make a copy. I don't know where it is, though. But it showed, the tape showed, matter of fact, let me see. Let's see if it's actually on YouTube. Whoops. It showed the Secret Service guy get pulled off of the back of the limo. Let's see, JFK assassination video. Let's see. Hold on. It showed the guy get pulled off the back of the limo, called by the head of the Secret Service. He was pulled off the video. He was pulled off the back of the car. Two of them, because it was you had 4 positions, 2 on the back, 2 on the front, with special enhancements for Secret Service agents to ride on those bumpers. The top 2 front bumpers, 2 back bumpers. The one guy, the head of the SS Secret Service, called the guys on the back of the bumper off. And one of the guys, he was on video throwing his hands up. Let's see here. Let's see here. He's showing moments before. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if we can see him leaving the airport. Let's see. JFK. Let's see. Hold on. Video leaving airport. Let me see. I meant to do this the last time we talked about this. He was leaving the airport. Is this it? Hold on. Checking the previews. Checking the previews. Nope. This ain't it. Or is it? Hold on. Let me see. Nope. This ain't it. I don't even think that video is I don't even think that video was released when he was leaving the airport. All of the videos is everything that happens once he got, you know, right before he got shot. I'll do a triple check on that. But the guy, he was throwing his hands up like this, like, what the hell, what the hell? I know I got my camera. Throwing his hands up like, what the hell, as they were leaving the airport. And next thing you know, boom, he grabbed his throat because the guy on the grassy knoll hit him. He tried to do the headshot. He missed. He got him in the throat. He went down like this. Jackie Kennedy asked him what was up. The driver turned around, popped him in his head. Boom. And then Jackie tried to scramble out the back, but the Secret Service guy jumped on the hood, back of the trunk of the car, pushed her back in the car, put her head down, and boom, they sped off. So unless the files detail who fired the fatal shot and what they know about the grassy knoll guy and the truth that Lee Harvey Oswald was the patsy, then as far as I'm concerned, the files are bull crap. They're bull crap. Let's go.
Records that are currently only available for in-person viewing are being digitized and will be uploaded in the coming days. On another note, positive economic data continues to pour in, showing the immediate impact of President Trump's pro-growth agenda. After suffering a steep decline in the final year of the Biden administration, the manufacturing sector came roaring back in February. Industrial production surged in February. These are new numbers. 3 times at a greater 3 times rate than the expectations to its highest ever recorded level. And President Trump's laser focus on massive deregulation and unleashing our domestic energy industry is leading to stabilities for Americans' bottom lines. As Newsweek summed it up today, gas prices are plummeting under President Trump. And the Trump administration continues to make American communities safer through our ongoing mass deportation campaign of
All right, back it up a second. Set this aside. Sunday, I think really Saturday, but Sunday I'm going to do the show. I'm going to talk about the money as far as how they were talking about the auto industry and whatnot. We're going to go over some of the stocks. It won't be a live show, but I'll go over it. I'll go over the stocks. I'll look over the money and everything. And then I'll dump the video. It'll be pre-recorded. I'll dump it in the Patreon that's streaming below. It'll be free for all members. But the thing about it is, people are griping. I'm gonna tell you right now, U.S. Steel has been surging. It had a little bit of a dip today, but it's been surging ever since. It's been surging. Like, I've got 10 shares, and it has been skyrocketing. Been skyrocketing, and it's dirt cheap. I think they're going for like less than $50 a share. You know, so I'm telling you right now, if you want to make you some money on the stock market, now's the chance. I mean, you can easily use the Robinhood app, you know, for those who aren't, because I'm not stock savvy. I'm not stock savvy at all. I'm not a stockbroker. I'm just telling y'all, this is what I saw. Everybody talking about crypto, but they won't tell you how to get on it. But, you know, You can do Coinbase, but Coinbase seems a little iffy to me, so I don't mess with Coinbase. But Robinhood is fine, I guess. Make sure all your paperwork, all your info is straight. But I normally go with as far as with stock, I go with Chase. Is that who I go with? Hold on, let me make sure. Make sure that I don't want to mislead anybody. Is it Chase? No, Charles Schwab. I'm sorry, Charles Schwab. I normally go with Charles Schwab for my stocks. All right, and all you gotta do, you can easily set up an account. If you got a bank account, all you gotta do is set up your account with Charles Schwab, connect your bank account, and you're good. You're good. You put some money in your Charles Schwab account, and then you start. It'll take about 5 days for them to make sure that the transfers is good, your money's good, and everything. And then after that, you just start buying stocks. I'll walk y'all through that. I'll show y'all how it's done. I'll show you how that's done in the video. We'll go through that Sunday. But I'm telling you right now, now's the time to really start getting your money straight. Like I said, $20 could change your life. $40, $100, some quick little cash, little throwaway money can change your life this year before Christmas. It could change your life. You like, oh damn, it came through. But I'll save that for Sunday. But let's get to it.
Illegal alien criminals. Yesterday, FBI Director Kash Patel announced the agency captured another fugitive from its 10 most wanted list, securing the extradition of Francisco Javier Roman Bardeles, a key senior leader of the brutal MS-13 gang. And the brave men and women of ICE also arrested a number of dangerous aliens across the country in recent days. You will see them on this screen. ICE San Francisco just arrested a citizen of Guatemala convicted of sexual battery. ICE New Orleans arrested a citizen of Ecuador convicted of rape in Suffolk County, New York. ICE Atlanta arrested a citizen of Mexico convicted of assault by strangulation. ICE Dallas arrested a citizen of Mexico convicted of assault with a firearm and rape with a foreign object. And ICE Houston arrested a citizen of Guatemala convicted of indecent sexual contact with a child in Texas. These are heinous criminal alien monsters
What bothers me is that you got the little Asian judge. He wants to keep these people here. No, not him. It's the other judge, the little white judge. And my thing is, look, if you want these criminals here in the United States, I'm gonna slap them with ankle monitors, and we're gonna sentence them to live with you. You get to take care of them. You get to feed, house, and clothe them. And by the way, they all identify as female, so we're taking the locks off of your bedroom and bathroom doors. Since you love them so much, we're going to house them in right there on your grounds in your house. 7 per household that you own. Since you love them so much, since you want them to stay here so badly, they get to live with you. You get to be their caretaker. They are your wards. How about that? Since you want them so bad, since you want to due process them so bad, they get to stay with you. How about that? That's how I feel about it.
The previous administration allowed to flood into our country. And every time President Trump and this team deport one of them, our country becomes safer. Finally, before I open it up to questions, I want to tout how successful our efforts have been in filling out President Trump's administration. There have been a record number of 281 Senate confirmed nominations already, with another 280 in process. Here at the White House, OPM, and GSA, we have filled 100% of the total number of slots. And this is a record number of placements in the first 58 days of any administration, and a testament to the caliber and the sheer quantity of talented people who want to work for President Trump to make America great again. Here in our new media seat today, we have Katie Pavlich. Katie is the editor of townhall.com, which is a subsidiary of Town Hall Media. It's a leading conservative news and opinion outlet based right here in Washington, D.C., with writers and journalists reporting around the country. Last year, Town Hall Media had 60 million unique users and 1.4 billion page views, with a broad reach on a number of social media platforms. With that, Katie, please kick us off.
Thank you, Caroline. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. So given the back and forth with this U.S. District Judge and the administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act, does the president plan to send new and additional flights of Venezuelan gang members now designated as foreign terrorists from the U.S. to El Salvador or elsewhere? Can Americans expect to see those flights sometime soon?
Americans can absolutely expect to see the continuation of the mass deportation campaign that has been successfully led by this president, Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and also our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Since you brought up the judges, I would like to point out that the judges in this country are acting erroneously. We have judges who are acting as partisan activists from the bench. They are trying to dictate policy from the President of the United States. They are trying to clearly slow walk this administration's agenda, and it's unacceptable. As the president said last night, we will continue to comply with these court orders. We will continue to fight these battles in courts, but it's incredibly apparent that there is a concerted effort by the far left to judge shop, to pick judges who are clearly acting as partisan activists from the bench in an attempt to derail this president's agenda. We will not allow that to happen. And not only are they usurping the will of the president and the chief executive of our country, but they are undermining the will of the American public, tens of millions of Americans who duly elected this president to implement the policies that are coming out of this White House.
I will say this again. Those judges were trying to block and, like she said, slow walk this whole situation. We're going to fit them with ankle monitors, and we're going to house them, and we're going to let in your house or houses and let you due process them. How about that? They get to sleep under the same roof where you, your wife, and your children sleep. Any real estate that has your name on it, we're going to house 7 of them per real estate holding. In your residence, in your legal residences. And then you can try them one by one, and you decide whether or not they should go or stay. And if you decide that they should stay, guess what? Since they have no permanent address and they've been living with you temporarily, we will make that their permanent addresses. They'll get to stay with you. How about that? How about that? Since this is, the route that you want to take. Because let's be honest, the only reason why these judges are doing that is because, first and foremost, they're not doing this because, well, I'm a Democrat judge. I say, okay. No, you're getting that whole briefcase full of money. You're getting that campaign contribution or whatever. You're not doing this out of the goodness of your bleeding heart. You're doing this because you're getting paid. And we can easily, if I was the Trump administration, if I was the Trump administration, I would look into your bank accounts. I would look into your finances. Why all of a sudden you got this campaign donation from Act Blue or something like that, and now all of a sudden here you come in with this ruling? Like, yeah, that's bribery. That's bribery. So we'll either, if we can't charge you with bribery, well, guess what? You get to house them. You get to feed, house, and clothe them until you go ahead and process all of these illegal migrants or immigrants, these criminal immigrants. And again, if you feel that they can stay, they're staying with you. That's how we handle that. But in all honesty, the Supreme Court needs to go ahead and let these judges know, hey, look, if you have a problem with what's going on with the executive branch, then you need to come to us. Let us decide whether or not we strike this down or put a halt on this or let this pass or whatnot. You are not the president. You don't get to surpass or supersede the presidential's executive orders simply because you I don't feel this right. That's ridiculous. Are you kidding me? Thomas Jefferson passed an act where these people do not have the power. They don't get to supersede his authority. This was taken. Thomas Jefferson, I forget the act that he passed, but it was a law that he passed that these federal court judges do not get to supersede his orders. You need to go to the Supreme Court and have the Supreme Court do it, not you. But I just work here.
And one more question. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said yesterday that he was united with Democrats in working against Americans who, quote, their attitude is, I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how to treat my customers? What is the president's response to this, given his upcoming tax agenda and need to work on Capitol Hill?
Well, we certainly hope that Democrats all of a sudden are for more money in the pockets of the American public. The president has made it incredibly clear that he is committed to tax cuts. He is committed to passing a big reconciliation package later this year, ending no taxes on tips, taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security for our hardworking seniors. And we encourage everybody on Capitol Hill to support that when it comes to the finish line, especially Democrats who clearly need a boost from the American public right now. Their approvals are at an all-time record low.
Ooh, that was vicious. So I just got this notification. Jury finds Greenpeace must pay hundreds of millions in case over Dakota access protest activities. A North Dakota jury on Wednesday found Greenpeace liable for defamation and other claims brought by a pipeline company in connection with protests against the Dakota Access Pipeline. Remember, the Native Americans were fighting against that pipeline cutting through their territory and whatnot, because do understand, the quote unquote Native Americans, they have to do their treaty. You can't touch their lands. You can, if they say no, then it's a no. But during their Biden administration, they were like, pretty much the hell with y'all. We're going to do it anyway. So the 9-person jury awarded Dallas-based Energy Transfer and its subsidiary, Dakota Access, hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. God damn. I mean, it's a drop in the bucket, but still, you can do a lot with hundreds of millions of dollars. Anyway, let's continue.
Thanks for being with us, Katie. Garrett.
I have one other question, but I want to follow up on Katie's question. Actually, you said the mass deportation campaign would continue, but she asked about the flights specifically. Will those flights to El Salvador continue while this case is being appealed?
We don't have any flights planned specifically, but we will continue with the mass deportations. And I would just like to point out that the judge in this case is essentially trying to say that the president doesn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists from our American soil. That is an egregious abuse of the bench. This judge does not have that authority. It is the opinion of this White House and of this administration, and that's why we're fighting this in court. And it's very, very clear that this is an activist judge who is trying to usurp the president's authority. Under the Alien Enemies Act, the president has this power, and that's why this deportation campaign has continued. And this judge, Judge Boasberg, is a Democrat activist. He was appointed by Barack Obama. His wife has donated more than $10,000 to Democrats, and he has consistently shown his disdain for this president and his policies, and it's unacceptable.
All right, so you have morons like Jasmine Crockett and AOC saying, well, we're not at war with these countries. No, we don't have to be at war, at physical, literal war, because first and foremost, we would never be at war with El Salvador, Venezuela, and Argentina. I mean, come on. That's like you being at war with your 8-year-old son. You beat the ever-loving crap out of him. Like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, I'll send some black guys from the south side of Chicago with some pistol grips down there. They'll wipe you out within a week. I'm being funny, but I mean, you get the idea. Like, come on. We'll send some pygmy warriors with pea shooters to your country. They'll wipe you out. Like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. But the thing about it is that when you, as what is that, Maduro, when Trump canceled the oil deal, he snitched. And, tried to get in favor back with Trump in order to bring the money back to Venezuela. He snitched and said the Biden administration specifically asked for his criminals, specifically asked for Trinde Alagra and other criminal entities, other gang members, as far as sending them, flooding the border. The American taxpayer money through USAID sent Venezuela, El Salvador, Argentina, and other countries that emptied their jails and sent their criminals to the United States. The Biden administration, Democrats, took our tax dollars, sent them to these countries, and gave them to these criminals, these psychopaths, all right, as a stipend to help them get to the border. Our tax dollars pay for these rapists, murderers, drug dealers, criminals. Our tax dollars funded their travels to the American border, to come to America. And all they've done is cause chaos. And the Democrats want to turn a blind eye to that. Because the Democrats that's in power now, they were the ones who voted yes on that. They're the ones that voted yes on that. That's why they're fighting so hard against it. But once Kash Patel and I forget the light-skinned black dude that they hired, all right, to be the head of the DOJ, once they clean out their departments and get some real patriotic enforcers there, all right, like I said, the DOJ and the FBI are hiring like crazy. You just got to pass the lie detector test and the background check. They hiring like crazy, especially if you're former military, former police. Hell, even if you was a security guard, you got a chance at a real grown man job with some superior benefits. Once they clean those people out, then they're going to go after the Democrats. AOC feels comfortable right now. All right? What's the other raggedy whore? Ilhan Omar feel real comfortable right now. All right? Ayanna Pressley, whatever. Who's the other moron? Jasmine Crockett. They feel real comfortable right now because they feel that the Trump administration is not looking into them. Trust me, honey, by the end of the summer, you'll be sitting before Congress as a Republican dominant Congress answering questions, and you will be brought up on charges. Trust me. It's just a matter of time. Trust me. Yeah, you can promote AOC and Jasmine Crockett as the heads of the new faces of the Democratic Party. Yeah, you go ahead and do that. I guarantee you by 2028, please, you'll be surprised. You'll be lucky. More than likely, you'll be looking at two new faces because those two might actually be serving jail sentences. They might be serving time in prison. But we'll see.
Where I wanted to go about the idea that these people are all foreign terrorists, but Judge Boasberg was originally appointed by George W. Bush and then elevated by Barack Obama. I just feel like I should clear that up.
Well, let me just say something to that effect, Garrett. 67% of all of the injunctions in this century have come against which president? Donald J. Trump. Let me say that again. 60% of the injunctions by partisan activists in the judicial branch have come against President Donald Trump, and 92% of those have been from Democrat-appointed judges. This is a clear, concerted effort by leftists who don't like this president and are trying to impose or slow down his agenda.
So, given that, do you think it's a good use of Congress's time and the president's political capital try to impeach and remove a federal judge, which would take 67 votes you're unlikely to get in the Senate?
Well, look, the president has made it clear that he believes this judge in this case should be impeached. And he has also made it clear that he has great respect for the Chief Justice John Roberts. And it's incumbent upon the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges. These partisan activists are undermining the judicial branch by doing so. We have co-equal branches of government for a reason, and the president feels very strongly about that. Jackie.
What options does the president have to, he says he's going to follow court orders. He wouldn't defy a court order, but he's raised these concerns about these judges acting in such a partisan way. What option does he have to ensure that his agenda continues to move forward while this is ongoing and the judges appear to be trying to just block and delay and impede?
Well, you're right. They are trying to block, delay, and impede. This is lawfare. The president is no stranger to it. He faced it in his campaign, and this is a continuation of the lawfare that President Trump faced as a candidate, and he's now unfortunately facing as a president. Clearly, these partisan activists in the judicial branch didn't get the memo on November 5th when the American people overwhelmingly re-elected this president to continue with mass deportations. So White House counsel and the Department of Justice are working on this. They're appealing these cases, and we will continue to use the full weight of the White House counsel's office and the president's team of lawyers to fight this in court, because we know we will win, even if we have to go all the way to the Supreme Court.
One more on PA. Andy McCarthy said in an interview with Hugh Hewitt, he certainly agrees with what the president is trying to do with the Alien Enemies Act, but he's not sure that the law is completely on his side. He cites some previous Supreme Court rulings dealing with enemy combatants in wartime, says that even they have a challenge or a right to challenge their detention in court. He raised concern also that while TDA has been designated as a terrorist organization, these individuals hadn't been prosecuted for terrorism. So my question is, will the president ask Congress potentially to declare war on these cartels for the invasion that he's talked about so that he's on stronger legal footing?
Well,
I'll let her answer the question.
We absolutely disagree with the legal opinion of the individual that you mentioned. We would not have moved forward with this if we didn't believe the president. This was within the president's executive authority to continue with this mass deportation effort under the authority provided to him under the Alien Enemies Act. And when you read the act, as I did last time at the podium, a predatory incursion is absolutely what has happened with Tren de Aragua. They have been sent here by the hostile Maduro regime in Venezuela, and the president, immediately upon taking office, designated TDA as a foreign terrorist organization. And under this act, it is within the president's authority to deport these terrorists. And anybody trying to defend these terrorists who have now been sent off of American soil should talk to the families of the individuals who these heinous monsters have killed and have raped. If you talk to those families, they are so heartened by the president's decision to take tough action and to use his executive authority, something that no other president has been willing to do, because President Trump does what he says he's going to do, and he is deporting these foreign terrorists from American soil to secure our homeland, and he's within his rights to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I asked the question, like, how many Americans, because do understand, they're not just attacking little white girls. They're also attacking little black girls too. I mean, of course, it doesn't get reported in the news, but my thing is that, like, how many Americans, flat out, black, white, Canadian, East Orange, New Jersey, and whatever, how many of them have to suffer before you say, you know what, okay, these gang members per se, they need to get up out of here. They need to get up out of here. We don't have to be at war with their country in order for them to be mass deported. All right? They don't have to be at war with the country. They just have to cause too much. Matter of fact, they just have to be illegal, period. Matter of fact, here's Maduro snitching. Let me play this. Here it is right here.
Utilizar la campaña de la administración Biden sobre
el
tema de Nicaragua. Yo sobre eso tengo una posición muy clara. Le digo al presidente Donald Trump, con respeto.
Here, I'll read it. All right, here, I'll mute it. I'll mute what he's saying. Hold on. I'll mute what he's saying, and I'll read what he's saying. All right, I'll start over. I'll read it to y'all.
Querido utilizar la campaña.
Okay. He's saying from there off, Jesus. All right, who moved to the famous train of Aragua. Those people took him to Colombia. Those people took him to the United States, who brought him into Colombia. Oh God, it's going too fast. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Este grupo delincuencial violento que pretendió utilizarse desde Colombia con lazos profundos con la antigua administración Biden para traer terrorismo a Venezuela. Si algo se puede decir de terrorismo del Tren de Aragua, extinto Tren de Aragua, es que querían atacar con terrorismo las ciudades del país. Y nosotros lo evitamos, mira, con inteligencia, con acción. Presidente Trump, pide esos informes para que usted vea. Se los digo con sinceridad y con respeto, para que usted vea la verdad sobre el famoso Tren de Aragua. Nuestros migrantes no son delincuentes, no son gente mala. Fueron gente que emigró producto de las sanciones. Son gente de bien, gente de trabajo. Y en Venezuela le damos la bienvenida como fuerza productiva, con un abrazo amoroso. Bienvenido, vuelta a la patria, reencuentro familiar. Bienvenidos todos.
But as you can see, I mean, for those of you who actually know Spanish or whatnot, or Portuguese, whatever he speaks, he said, breaking, Venezuelan president just publicly surrendered to President Trump. This was after Trump decided not to take their oil. He's like, hold on, wait a minute. This is the whole tariff situation. Like, hold on. Okay, let me snitch. He publicly surrendered to President Trump. Maduro has now turned in state evidence against the Biden administration and is releasing proof that Biden asked the Venezuelan government to ship Tren de Aragua drug gangs into the U.S. He snitched. He turned state's evidence because he wanted that oil deal. His people are eating out of trash cans because nobody will buy their oil. But the United States decided to buy their oil. Trump wanted to hit them with tariffs. He wanted to buck against it. Trump said, well, okay, fine. We don't have to buy your oil. So suddenly he wanted to snitch. Understand that. So, I mean, there's the proof right there. The president, that guy is snitching. He's snitching. So, yeah, those people have to go, whether you're legal or not. Because, again, I'll say it 1,000 times, the illegals that are here. Because when we had the Monday stream and we had the young liberal guy, all right, college kid, and I understand. Let me explain it, because I used to be on that liberal train, because I mean, I was working 2-3 jobs. I was a young guy, like I'm 53 now, I'll be 54 this year. But when I was in my 20s and 30s, early 40s, I'm working 2-3 jobs. I'm not keeping up too much with the news. And I was told that Fox News was racist and all that and everything. And I mean, they had their druthers. I'm not going to lie. They had their druthers, Bill O'Reilly or whatnot, you know. But now as an adult, now that you are, once you get over the age of 40, instead of trying to beat the bushes playing find the races as a black man, what you need to do, and I wish I could go back in time and have this mentality then, is that it's not about trying to find the racists. It's about trying to find the paper, find the money. That N-word coming out of a white person's mouth doesn't bother me. Times have changed. Yeah, we have body cams now. Ever since Trump took office, we had a president that started pressing charges back in 2015-16, when Trump took office. He started pressing severe charges against police officers that violated people's civil rights, most especially black people. All right? He let us tear down them statues. Y'all got to watch Monday's stream. I know it's 5.5 hours, almost 6 hours, but there's a lot of information in that stream. All right? We went back and we rolled the tapes. We played the footage. Because back when Trump first ran, I too thought, oh yeah, he racist. Because when you're working 2-3 jobs, you don't have time to be a political animal. You worried about, getting your 8 to 16 or 12 hours, whatever you work, a job and a part-time job or 2 full-time jobs just to make ends meet, have a little money in your pocket. You're not worried about that stuff. You ain't worried about that stuff. You worried about your pockets. You come home, you watch quote unquote CNN or the Young Turks or something like that. And because they pretended like they was on your side as a black person, but come to find out they weren't. They were just race hustling you. This is what happens when you get older and you're in the position where I'm in, where I'm retired. So now I get to see the BS in real time. And I realized that I was being lied to by these quote unquote mainstream media networks. Y'all do know Anna Kasparian, the chick on Young Turks. She totally flipped, right? She quit the Democratic Party. I guess she's an independent now. I haven't really picked up on the story because so much is happening with this Trump administration that little side stuff like that gets put to the wayside. That's free time stuff that I really don't have time for, even if I'm retired. Got a lot of stuff going on. Trust me, your work does not stop just because you're not working at a job. You're now working, your life becomes your job. A lot of stuff goes on. It's not just sitting on the couch, eating chips and dip and watching TV. No. You get out of the house, trust me. I went on my walk today, my shoes are soaked. I done showered and everything. But at any rate, you start seeing reality for what it really is. Now that news media has opened up, thanks to social media, you actually get to see real news. You don't get clips and then somebody like a Caitlin Collins or a Young Turks, all right, or Joy Reid, who's now fired, or who's the other chick, Rachel Maddow, take a clip and then pervert it. You saw that with the election when Trump was like, yo, I'm getting rid of these rapist criminal gang members and I'm going to protect women whether they like it or not. And what happened? Kamala Harris came out there, oh, he's trying to infringe on women's rights. Talking about he's going to tell women what to do, whether they like it or not. No. Play the whole clip of what he said. Don't just play where he said, I'm going to protect women whether they like it or not. No. Play the whole clip. You see the effery that Democratic media, the tricks that they play. You see it all. You have the time. You can sit down, you see it all. And you realize that these people are lying to you. I'm not saying I'm a Republican, even though blacks started out as Republicans because it was the Republican Party that freed us from slavery. It was the Republican Party that gave us the right to vote. It was the Republican Party that gave us our inalienable human rights. It was the Republican Party that integrated the schools. It was the Republican Party that integrated society. It was the Republican Party that gave us affirmative action. But who was the one that worked against all of that? It was the Democratic Party. They used to be the Dixiecrats with the rebel flags. They went national and they became the Democratic Party. And they've been working against us ever since. These are people who hosted the Nazis back in 1932. These are the ones who countered immigration with welfare. Lyndon B. Johnson, Democrat. I have these niggers voting Democrat for 200 years. That's why you got 91% black women voting Democrat and their 77% of their illegitimate bastard black male sons voting Democrat is a 77%. You're voting against your own interests. You're voting against your own interests. You don't have to be Republican. MLK was a Republican. But Malcolm X was an independent. As us as black men, black people, we need to be independent. Independent. If you want to vote for somebody who has your best interest, who literally has your best interest at heart. They have something in writing. Remember when Ice Cube had the contract for Black America, and he went on the freaking Cocktails with Queens? But what about black women? Aren't black women part of black people? No. What? He was done. He said Trump was willing to sit down with him and go through the contract and sign some legislation, while the Democrats was talking about some talk to us after the election. Isn't that what Obama said? Talk to me after the election. And then after the election came, black people couldn't get a meeting with him. They got stonewalled. Meanwhile, you got Kim Kardashian meeting with Trump, freeing black people from prison. You got Trump hosting gay people at his house at Mar-a-Lago for weddings and whatnot. Yeah, I know we went through the whole thing with the very fine people. We went through that Monday. We showed the clip where he didn't give a pass to fake so-called wannabe white supremacist groups. These inferiority complex, inbred hillbilly bastards. He didn't give them a pass. He condemned them. He condemned both sides, actually three sides, the low IQ blacks, the low IQ whites, and Antifa for creating the violence. He put the onus on them. You heard him say that. Go back and watch that Monday stream. We played the actual video, and everybody's sitting up there like, yeah, like, wow, like, yeah. Like Trump actually did, condemn white supremacists, and he condemned Antifa, and he condemned the low IQ blacks for starting the violence. You can't sit up here and say that he didn't. The proof was in the pudding. The video was there. Now that he's bringing, and it's funny, somebody on TikTok they took a look at, and this is what's funny is that people try to crap on TikTok, but you actually have, TikTok is not just women trying to shake their booties and sell their OnlyFans or whatnot and all that goofy stuff. No, but you actually have people like me that are on TikTok that actually post the news. Those are the people that I associate with. But you had people on there, somebody broke down that before NAFTA, 60% of the warehouse jobs and the trucking jobs and whatnot, 60% of the blue collar jobs that were done by Americans, 60% of them were done by black men. Now it's 28%. Now that Trump is bringing blue collar jobs back, quote unquote, black jobs. Now that he's bringing them back, this opens up the opportunity for black men who are unskilled laborers because they're not cerebral, thanks to the education system, public school education. This gives them a chance to get a leg up and get back into the work industry. Go watch Roger and Me by Michael Moore, and you'll see in Detroit, when the auto industry left Detroit, a lot of those people who lost their jobs and their homes, the majority of them were black people. The auto industry is coming back to Detroit. They're coming to Indiana. The majority of black people who are in those areas will fill those vacancies. They'll fill out those jobs. I guarantee it. I'm just dropping history. What's up, DeCarlo? Anna is hot, but I like that she is switching up. Young Turks is going downhill. Remember, I did the video last year on the other channel. Hold on, I got my feet in my foot thing. Hold on. There we go. All right. Yeah. Whoo. Them 5-mile walks be killing me. But yeah, you know, I did that video last year, the destruction of TYT, and it's all based on Anna Kasparian leaving TYT. She's getting ready to leave TYT and move out of California. Watch. It's coming. Before the end of the year, I guarantee you, Anna will not be a part of TYT. Matter of fact, an expose just came out today about what's that little Jew network? The Jew network with the little midget Jew, the guy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Help me out. Who's the midget Jew guy? The one that talked real fast. The one that Candace Owens used to work for. Help me out. What's the name of their channel? But they're now Jeremy Boeing, their CEO, he got ousted because he was screwing up the talent. He's the reason why Candace Owens and what's the little white girl whose best friend betrayed her? The Daily Wire. That's it. The Daily Wire. They're getting ready to fold because Jeremy Boeing ousted Candace Owens, and then their second biggest talent was Brett Cooper. That's the little white girl, Brett Cooper. They tried to replace her with her best friend. Their network is going down. So they ousted Jeremy Boeing in an attempt to save the company because they were bleeding money. People were breaking their NDAs and everything. Trust me. Candace Owens didn't, and Brett Cooper did not need the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire needed them. You go look at Candace Owens' view count. That girl gets pretty much almost 1 million views per video. Almost 1 million views per video. You think, I'm sorry, do you think everybody was, all the low IQ blacks that hated Candace Owens was celebrating her getting fired from the Daily Wire? And I'm like, y'all don't understand. The Daily Wire, they unfortunately, they did that woman a favor. They did her a favor. Like she became a bigger star after leaving the Daily Wire than she would have ever been. They did her a favor. But anyway, let's get back to this. I'm sorry, man. I know I done went down the train, but man, us as black folks, we got to start thinking cerebrally, and we too busy trying to find the races behind the bushes. But I mean, it's 2025. Let that crap go. You wasting time and money. That's where low. In all honesty, no, I get it. Trust me, because we've had two white inferiority complex people pop up on our Monday live streams, and now I'm not going to deal with them anymore. All right, I'm not going to entertain that foolishness anymore because there's nothing to entertain. I mean, twice now, 2 weeks in a row, we had guys. One guy, damn near 40 years old. He's a damn insurance data guy who's fired, now living in his grandfather's house. No problem. Had a black girlfriend, got the nerve to call us the N-word. This dude's job is obsolete. And then you got another guy who pretty much looked like Uncle Fester, around the same age, late 30s. And this guy calls himself trying to be a rapper. All right. Like, please, like, are you kidding me? Like, these are the people that y'all want to argue, fuss, and scream and quote unquote chimp out for. These low IQ, degenerate white folks that have nothing going on for themselves. Y'all want us to, F you and you, caca, and all that. Man, I ain't got the time for that crap. Take that crap somewhere else. I'm over here. I'm talking to my cerebral black folks, the average, everyday thinking black man. The blue collar. My show is about the blue collar black man that's trying to get his paper straight and be aware with what's going on in society. And I'm trying to let y'all know because, man, I wish we had these type of shows going on back when YouTube was popping. Well, here we are now. I'm one of them guys. I'm trying to get y'all up on the game. The hell with the BS. This is about your paper. This is what's going on. Pay attention to politics. You know what I'm saying? The job market is opening up. You former military, you former police, the CIA and the Department of Justice is hiring. You just got to pass the background check, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Pass the background check, and you about to get grown man money with some serious freaking benefits. The military is taking people on with some grown man benefits. Yo, police departments across America is about to be hiring with grown man benefits. If that's too much for you, then hey, you know, let's invest some money. Let's find out what's going on. What's going on with the business trade? What's going on? That video I played of the young guy with all the tattoos who walking by a construction site was like, hey man, I need a job. Where's the foreman? The foreman was like, hey, show up Monday, bruh. Like, okay. I mean, because the illegals are getting kicked, they self-deporting, getting kicked out of the country. Jobs is opening up. And we all know a construction job is going to at least afford you that $2,000 a month rent on a 2-bedroom garden apartment. Matter of fact, my cousin called me today, not the money cousin, but her, you know, the little sister, called me today talking about Cleveland. I'm like, man, please, like, you can get an apartment in Cleveland for at least $1,000 or less. No, and then in the midst of the conversation, she looked it up and was like, oh wow, yeah, you can get a 2-bedroom apartment in Cleveland for $1,000 or less. I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's Cleveland. It ain't New York or LA. It's Cleveland. Like, trust me, by the end of the summer, the numbers, the mortgages and the rents are going to drop even lower. Talking to my homeboy last week about this. We looking at starting an arcade business. I said, dude, probably by late summer or next year, like $2,000 a month for a commercial space, that's not going to be no money. It's going to be less than that. The prices are going to drop. Like, it's just a matter of waiting it out. It's a matter of waiting it out. Trust me, inflation is dropping. Egg prices have dropped. Gasoline prices have dropped. And home prices have dropped in certain areas. Just give it time. Just give it time. Let the tariffs take effect. And trust me, probably by mid to late September, you will definitely see the difference. You'll definitely see the difference. I'm here to tell y'all that. Anyway, let's get back to this.
Tesla, there's a website that's trying to dox Tesla owners across the country and saying they're only going to take down personal information when people show that they've sold their cars. What's the administration going to do about that?
I haven't seen that website, but we certainly think it's despicable, the violence that has taken place against Tesla, the company, its employees, and also just Americans who have chosen to drive an electric vehicle. Many of them are Democrats, by the way. Democrats were big supporters of Tesla and of electric vehicles until Elon Musk decided to vote for Donald Trump. So we would like Democrats to also come out and condemn this heinous violence that we have seen. And I believe the Attorney General has said she's investigating these incidents as acts of domestic terrorism.
Yeah. I played that with Pam Bondi. She was like, as far as we're concerned, you're a domestic terrorist and want to treat you as such. You're not going to get, these aren't misdemeanors. These aren't misdemeanors. We're going to charge y'all with Class A felonies. We're going to charge y'all with terrorist acts because that's exactly what you're committing, terrorist acts. And let us find out that you're getting paid through ActBlue. Let us find out you're getting paid through ActBlue, which Elon found out through his old Doge situation. Let us find out you're getting paid through ActBlue. Oh, you're getting double the charges. And we're going to find out who's in charge of ActBlue. And we're going to be you're going to haul your asses into Congress and talk to you.
Jennifer.
On Ukraine, can you say, is the White House going to pause foreign military aid or intelligence sharing with Ukraine, as Russia says it's pushing for? And then have a follow-up on the federal trade commission.
Sure. When it comes to Ukraine, I do have a statement for you from the National Security Advisor and also the Secretary of State. First, I'd like to reiterate what the president said earlier following his call with President Zelensky this morning. He said he just completed a very good telephone call with President Zelensky. It lasted approximately 1 hour. Much of the discussion was based on the call made yesterday with President Putin in order to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their requests and needs. We are very much on track, and I will ask Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz to give an accurate description of the points discussed. That statement will be put out shortly. Well, I have that statement for you right here. Bear with me as I read it. Today, President Trump and Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky had a fantastic phone conversation. President Zelensky thanked President Trump for a productive start for the work of the Ukrainian and American teams in Jeddah on March 11th. The meeting of the senior officials from both nations significantly helped in moving toward ending the war. President Zelensky thanked President Trump for the support of the United States, especially the Javelin missiles that President Trump was first to provide and his efforts towards peace. The leaders agreed Ukraine and America will continue working together to bring about a real end to the war, and that lasting peace under President Trump's leadership can be achieved. President Trump fully briefed President Zelensky on his conversation with Putin and the key issues discussed. They reviewed the situation in Kursk and agreed to share information closely between their defense staffs as the battlefield situation evolved. President Zelensky asked for additional air defense systems to protect his civilians, particularly Patriot missile systems, and President Trump agreed to work with him to find what was available, particularly in Europe. The two leaders also agreed on a partial ceasefire against energy. Technical teams will meet in Saudi Arabia in the coming days to discuss broadening the ceasefire to the Black Sea on the way to a full ceasefire. They agreed this could be the first step toward the full end of the war and ensuring security. President Zelensky was grateful for the president's leadership in this effort and reiterated his willingness to adopt a full ceasefire. President Trump also discussed Ukraine's electrical supply and nuclear power plants. He said that the United States could be very helpful in running those plants with its electricity and utility expertise. American ownership of those plants would be the best protection for that infrastructure and support for Ukrainian energy infrastructure. President Zelensky also thanked President Trump for continuing to push humanitarian concerns, including the exchange of prisoners of war. He noted they had just had a successful exchange and thanked the president for his leadership on that. President Trump also asked President Zelensky about the children who had gone missing from Ukraine during the war, including the ones that had been abducted. And President Trump promised to work closely with both parties to help make sure those children were returned home. They agreed all parties must continue the effort to make a ceasefire work. The presidents noted the positive work of their advisors and representatives, especially Secretary Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, Special Envoy Kellogg, and others. The presidents instructed their teams to move ahead with the technical issues related to implementing and broadening the partial ceasefire. The presidents instructed their advisors and representatives to carry out this work as quickly as possible. The presidents emphasized that in further meetings, the teams can agree on all necessary aspects of advancing toward lasting peace and security. That is a lengthy statement that was just given to me, so thanks for bearing with me. Our office will, of course, provide this after. And as you know, as I just pointed out in the statement, the president's team of negotiators and national security experts will be heading to Saudi again later this week to continue working on and ironing out the details. But I would just like to emphasize, we have never been this close to peace, and it's only because of President Trump that we are here. I think a couple of years ago, as you all reported on the war, it was incomprehensible to have a partial ceasefire in this conflict. And today that is true because of the leadership of this president.
So I'll probably deal with that tomorrow after we do our afternoon walk, whatever. I would do it in the morning, but I'll probably still have company. But we'll deal with it tomorrow afternoon as far as what Trump has to say about it. I'm pretty sure he'll have a press conference if he hasn't already done it by now. So I'll deal with it tomorrow.
Mary. Agreed to closely share information between their defense staffs. Does that mean all intelligence sharing will continue? So the White House is rejecting Russia's request to pause that.
Intelligence sharing in terms of defense for Ukraine will continue to be shared. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions. One on the United States Institute of Peace and then on the Supreme Court, if that's okay.
Sure.
So on the United States Institute of Peace, this is a little bit wild. I understand the old president refused to leave after he was removed from his position. He barricaded himself in his offices, had to be escorted out by police, left the building without Wi-Fi, telephones, elevators, and more, and is now telling media that Doge broke in and illegally removed him. So can you comment on this sequence of events and specify, did Doge illegally enter?
I'm really glad you brought this up, Mary. We were made aware of this story by individuals at Doge, at Elon Musk's team, and also at the State Department who were unable to access this building. And it became very clear that there was a concerted effort amongst the rogue bureaucrats at the United States Institute of Peace to actually physically barricade themselves essentially inside of the building to prevent political appointees of this administration who work at the direction of the President of the United States to get into the building. There was a piece in the Daily Caller, thank you for sharing the truth on this, about what happened. Staff contacted the MPD in an attempt to prevent DOJ personnel from entering. They barricaded the doors. They also disabled telephone lines, internet connections, and other IT infrastructure within the building. They distributed flyers internally, encouraging each other to basically prevent these individuals from accessing the building. I use this to say this is what DOJ and this administration is facing. It's a resistance from bureaucrats who don't want to see change in this city. President Trump was elected on an overwhelming mandate to seek change and implement change, and this is unacceptable behavior.
Thank you. I just want to from the Supreme Court.
You know what it is. You know what it is. This is slush funds. These are people who have been using DOJ, who've been using these government institutions as slush funds, and they're trying to not be found out. Because if I'm just a regular 9-to-5 office worker, I'll be good goddamn if I call myself trying to distribute leaflets and flyers. Don't let them in, and barricade myself in the office to protect taxpayer money from being mismanaged. The only time I would do something like that is if you was offering me a large sum of money to be stupid, to risk my freedom. And to be honest, I'm not risking my freedom for nobody. God damn it, you the one that's been stealing money, stealing taxpayer funds through this operation. You get yourself down here. You barricade the doors. I'm not doing it. Outside of that, I'm opening the door. I don't know what nothing. Talk to the accountant. I brought it up to the accountant. The accountant came back and told me to mind my own goddamn business. So y'all talk to him. That's what I'm telling y'all that I was told. I'm not about to spend 20 plus years in jail for embezzlement for you. Get the hell out of here.
I know it's been almost 3 years now since the leak of the draft Dobbs opinion to Politico, actually. A leak which sparked protesting outside the homes of the justices and even brought on one attempted assassination attempt. I know Justice Alito said that it made the justices targets for assassination, but yet the Supreme Court has not tracked down any leaker. Does the White House have interest in finding out who that leaker was, and can you comment on that at all?
I know generally speaking, the president has an interest in finding leakers, and he believes it's unacceptable. And it's the position of this administration. You've seen the Secretary of Homeland Security has taken tough action at her agency. Leaking is unacceptable to this president and to the leaders across the board in this cabinet, especially when it puts people in harm's way. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. A mom whose daughter was forced to change in a locker room with a biological male at school
I heard about
the DOJ. How will the Trump DOJ deal with violations of President Trump's orders protecting women and girls like that?
In case y'all didn't hear what happened, I heard about this story on YouTube. This is the beauty of him opening up the free press to podcasters and everything. So apparently some teenage girl did not want some teenage boy in the locker room. You know, that whole fake I'm a woman crap. You know, males cosplaying as women so they can get their perverted jollies off. And the school forced her to watch this boy strip naked in the locker room. Forced her to watch him strip naked in the locker room. Forced her. And I'm like, everybody involved needs to go to jail for that. Because that's child abuse. That's what is that? Some type of sexual perversion crime, but that's child abuse on the outset. Forced her to watch this boy strip naked in the girls' locker room. I'm sorry, that's a criminal act, and I'm gonna say it right now. This woman right here is gorgeous. I love a foreign woman. This woman is gorgeous. But at any rate, let's get into it. Let's see what the response is from the White House.
Yes.
I would defer you to the Department of Justice on that specific case, but the president has made it incredibly clear that it is the policy of this administration that there are only two genders, male and female, only two sexes rather, male and female, and that we are not going to tolerate such behavior by men pretending to be women. The president will continue to strongly stand for the rights of women and girls, not just in sports and on athletic fields, but also in private spaces like locker rooms and bathrooms. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that's a criminal
The
act.
president's thinking in his decision to fire the two Democratic commissioners, especially given that Mark Meadow is on track to be confirmed next week and there would be a Republican majority. My biggest question is why now?
Sure, because the time was right to let these people go, and the president absolutely has the authority to do it. And they were given ample notice in a letter that I believe your outlet reported on. So it pretty much explains exactly why this administration chose to let those individuals go.
The ultimate goal is to get this to the Supreme Court to try to overturn the 1935 precedent.
The goal was to let these individuals go. If we have to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court, we certainly will. Rachel.
Back to the deportation flights to El Salvador. Can the administration provide any more details on how authorities determined that each of those men were in fact members of a gang? And if the White House can publish images, photos, videos of those men, why can't the administration just release basic information like their identities and names?
We are not going to reveal operational details about a counterterrorism operation, but what I can assure you, as I said on Monday, we have the highest degree of confidence in our ICE agents and our Customs and Border Patrol agents who have committed their lives to targeting illegal criminals in our country, particularly foreign terrorists, and they had great evidence and indication. They have the highest degree of professionalism, and they were 100% confident in the individuals that were sent home on these flights and in the president's executive authority to do that.
She confirmed exactly what I've been saying, is that as the media, they give you snippets of information, but the president and people in the White House with clearances, they get full dossiers. They get the full jacket of what's going on. Meanwhile, what they'll do, they'll come to the press and be like, okay, this is a 28-page document. Here's 1 page, or here's paragraph and a half, or half a page, or 3 pages. You don't get the full jacket of what somebody like a Karoline Leavitt would get, or especially not a Donald Trump would get. So a lot of information is sensitive because you have to protect the people involved who, do these jobs. So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a dumb question. This lady, that the black chick who the reporter, she should know that. All right. I'm not getting it. She's probably just doing her job. But I mean, come on, it's common sense. You should know this. They're not going to tell you everything. But if you really want to dig further, I'm pretty sure there's a congressman in there, especially a Democrat, that will get the full jacket and they'll leak it to you. Do your job.
I know in the last briefing you cited privacy concerns as a reason why the administration may not be able to reveal the identities. What exactly are the privacy rights of immigrants who were deported that the administration says were dangerous enough to be sent to El Salvador and sit in a prison?
Again, as I just said, we're not going to reveal the operational details of a counterterrorism operation for quite obvious reasons. We're trying to combat terrorism here in the United States of America.
Right. Why don't you ask the countries where these people come from? Do your due diligence as a reporter. This is Rico Suave. Okay, where did he come from? Colombia. Okay, well, let's go to Colombia and look up Rico Suave's criminal record. And then that way, and they'll give it to you. They'll give it to you, through the proper channels, and then you can post it. Do your damn job as a reporter. Stop being lazy.
Go, Jeff.
I could ask something else about the phone call yesterday. There was a couple different readouts from the Kremlin and the U.S. on a couple different points. One was energy and infrastructure. The U.S. statement said energy and infrastructure. The Kremlin said energy infrastructure. What is your understanding of what the actual substance of that disagreement was? And then one other question on that.
I would defer you to the readout that was provided by the White House. That's our understanding, and that's the truth.
If I could ask a question about the judge as well. How does a president define a bad judge? Is it just someone who disagrees with him? And is that a dangerous precedent in this case? Because this is a temporary ruling from Judge Boasberg that he could ultimately rule in your favor. Is he setting up a standard here for calling for the impeachment of a judge who may ultimately rule on your side?
No, it has nothing to do with disagreeing with the president on policy. It's with disagreeing with the Constitution and the law. And it's trying to usurp the authority of the executive branch of this country. It's having baseless reasoning for these injunctions. And it's a clear effort by these judges to slow roll this president's agenda. And if you just look at the injunctions that this president has faced, deporting foreign terrorists from our homeland, hiring and firing of executive branch employees, which when the president is the executive of the executive branch. You also see an injunction by a partisan activist judge when it comes to the Secretary of Defense trying to determine the readiness of our troops and the qualifications of our troops in our armed forces. Does a single district court judge really have more authority over the commander-in-chief and the Secretary of Defense to determine who should serve in our United States Armed Forces? Absolutely not. Anyone who has taken a basic civics lesson can understand that, and it's ridiculous lawfare that we are witnessing.
Yeah, you had a judge saying that banning transgenders from the military was wrong, and that transgenders are better fighters than heterosexual men and women. And it's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm sorry. Are you in military boot camps? Are you out here in battlefields? Are you on the front lines? What are you talking about? You're not making any sense, bro. The hell out of here. Like, that's what I'm saying. These little federal judge rulings, they need to, before they need to go before the Supreme Court before they can let the Supreme Court make the ruling. If you object to something as a judge, you should go to the Supreme Court. The president shouldn't have to go to the Supreme Court to appeal your stupidity. You should go to the Supreme Court to object and let the Supreme Court decide whether or not this is good or bad for the country. What are you talking about? This is stupid. This is stupid. This is so stupid. And to be honest, the more you getting back, because the immigration thing is the biggest issue, the more you stop criminal illegals from leaving the country, the more people's lives you put in danger, because you slow that down. You slow down what's going on with Tom Homan and his crew. You slow them down. And the more you slow them down, the more Americans are in danger from these criminal illegals. But I digress.
And it's
said he supports. I'm sorry. The president said he respects the Chief Justice here. Mm-hmm. Does he respect him specifically on this case and this opinion, or respects him overall? And has he spoken to any other Supreme Court justice?
The president respects Chief Justice Roberts overall. He just expressed that to me in the Oval Office. But it's also quite clear that the Supreme Court needs to rein in these judges who are acting as partisan activists, and they are undermining the judicial branch. And it's a dereliction of duty on their behalf. Deanna.
You don't share the presidency, bro.
On the call with Zelensky, did they discuss the minerals deal at all? Is that back on the table? And what do the Ukrainians have to do to get that back on the table? And then one on the Russia call as well.
Again, I just provided a very lengthy readout of the call that was provided by the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor. And now we have moved beyond the economic minerals deal. We are at a place of peace. We're at a partial ceasefire, and we're moving towards a full ceasefire and a long-standing peace in this conflict. And that's great news for the American public.
Kremlin readout mentioned that Trump and Putin spoke about potential U.S.-Russia hockey games. And the Kremlin readout also said that Russia wanted the U.S. to stop U.S. intelligence and U.S. funding to Ukraine. The president has said that that conversation did not happen. Just wondering if you can get us any more clarity on that. And also, again, if it's energy infrastructure or if it's energy and infrastructure, because I think there is a big difference between that.
Again, as for the readouts of the call, I would defer you to ours. And when it comes to the topic of hockey, it did come up. However, we're more interested in securing a peace deal than scheduling hockey games right now. Sean.
About the deportation flight. So was it the president himself who directed the planes to stay in the air after the judge ordered them to turn back?
The president invoked the Aliens Enemies Act with a proclamation, which then directed the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State to move forward with the plan of action. And as I said yesterday, all of the planes that were subject to the judge's written order took off before the order was submitted in court. I was asked and answered that question multiple times yesterday. Kate, go ahead.
Is the president still considering pressuring Russia with sanctions or tariffs to try to get a full ceasefire? And is there any kind of deadline or timeline that the White House has in mind for when that pressure might ramp up?
Again, the president had a nearly 2-hour-long call with President Putin yesterday. We provided a readout of that call, and we have his negotiating team heading to the Middle East this week to continue these discussions in regards to sanctions and any other details. I'm not going to give a readout of those from this podium.
And on TikTok, is Oracle the leading contender for a deal? And would the U.S. back a deal that keeps TikTok's algorithm and the underlying technology still in Chinese hands?
As President Trump does so well, we don't get ahead of ourselves when we are in the midst of the art of the deal. So when the president and this team are ready to announce a deal on TikTok, which is a high priority for the president, we will make that known. I've seen that reporting, but I'm not going to comment on it just yet. Sure, go.
TikTok is still left-leaning. You cannot post facts about trans people. You can still not post facts about trans people. They will come after you. So they are still left-leaning scumbags. So I really do hope that they do sell TikTok. So we'll see what happens with that.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Press Secretary Levitt. Some prominent Trump supporters have been making the case that Derek Chauvin deserves a pardon. They argue that he did not receive a fair trial. Joe Biden and other Democrats actually implied that he was guilty while the trial was going on. BLM rioters had these jurors under immense threat and pressure. Mainstream media, frankly, many news outlets here today are complicit here. They chose to ignore the autopsy report. They chose to ignore the full body camera footage. They decided to slander Derek Chauvin as a racist cop instead. Does the administration believe Derek Chauvin received a fair trial, and will they consider a pardon moving forward?
The president has been asked and answered this question. He said it's not something he's considering at this time. Philip.
Thank you. I mean, 6 minutes on his neck, bruh. Whether he died from a drug overdose or whatever, 6 minutes on the dude's neck, grinding on it, egging on the crowd. I'm sorry, bro. That's police brutality. Doesn't matter if his final toxicology report said that he died from drugs. What the hell were you doing? You were supposed to have thrown him in the car. And by the way, if you actually watch the full body cam or the full footage of what happened to George Floyd, and I'm not labeling him a hero or anything else, but he was a victim of police brutality that ultimately led to his death, whether it was from a drug overdose or not. He was already in the car. Derek Chauvin was going at his ribs with the billy club. He was just savagely going at him, whacking him while he was already in the car. He drug him out of the back of the police cruiser. That's when he put his knee on his neck and then was acting all wild and animalistic, you know, on a total FU to the whole crowd, not just the black people, but it was like a mixed crowd of whites, blacks, Indians, Asians, whatever, in the middle of a downtown street with his Asian partner going, "Get back," when he should have been bum rushed and stomped the fuck out. But it is what it is. Trump's like, yo, maybe you should have strapped him in the car and kept your cool while he was talking smack. Maybe you shouldn't have went at him with the billy club to the ribs when he was in the back of the car. Maybe you shouldn't have drug him out of the car and put your knee on his neck. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. So since you did all of that, you got what you got, bro. You got what you got, bro. You got what you got, bro. Oh, you got stabbed 22 times in jail? Yeah, I bet every day that you're locked up, you wish you'd have just, let him run his mouth in the back of your police cruiser and drove him downtown to the police station like you did any other suspect, but you wanted to be extra. So, hey, it is what it is, bro. I'm not helping you.
Thank you. Two questions. First, just a follow-up on the readouts from those calls. When it comes to the discrepancies between the U.S. and the Russian readout of that call between President Trump and Putin, is it the president's assessment that something is getting lost in translation, or does he believe that the Russians are trying to play games here?
Nope, the president believes in his team that put the readout out, and he also put his own out on Truth Social. We've been incredibly transparent about all of the president's calls with foreign leaders, and again, I would defer you to the readout.
And then following up
Michael.
on
Thank you, Caroline. White House said yesterday that gas prices across the U.S. have fallen for the fourth straight week. 34 states now seeing gas under $3 a gallon. This limited ceasefire with Ukraine regarding oil refineries, energy, will that affect gas prices here in the U.S.?
Well, it's certainly the president's hope that gas prices will continue to fall, and he's working every single day to ensure that we do. As you just mentioned, there's been very encouraging data. Inflation is cooling and gas prices are falling. The president has established a National Energy Dominance Council, and it's ultimately the president's goal. And this administration is working hard on it every single day to increase our energy production right here in the United States of America, to have it Trump energy boom like we saw in our first term, which will not only lead to lower fuel prices here at home, but also lessen the rate of inflation that was created by the previous administration.
One more on Tesla, Caroline. Tim Walz, Governor Walz, saying last night he frequently checks Tesla stock. In doing so, to quote, give me a little boost during the day. How should Americans view politicians who take pride in the downfall of an American car company?
I think that's quite sad, but I think Governor Walz unfortunately is living a sad existence after his devastating defeat on November 5th. Reagan. Reagan, go ahead.
Across the country, Tesla cars are being lit on fire,
Yeah.
dealerships are being shot up, Molotov cocktails are being used. There was a website posted yesterday that shared the addresses of private Tesla owners and reportedly had
She already
sales
answered this
information
question.
on it. AG Gandhi has called this acts of domestic terrorism. Does the White House have any indication that this is some sort of coordinated movement or that it's being funded by some outside group? And do you know if the investigation by the DOJ is being investigated as incidents of organized terror?
Good question.
I believe
Good
the
question.
Attorney General has made her comments clear on that. She is investigating these events as acts of domestic terrorism, and we fully condemn them. And as I said earlier to Jackie's question, we think it's despicable what is happening to not just this American company, but also their innocent employees. And again, innocent Americans who drive these vehicles. And we condemn it wholeheartedly. Sure.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I owned a Tesla and I caught you doing something to my Tesla, whatever happens to you happens to you. And if I mess around there and get charged, and I run into one of these little goofy judges that call themselves trying to want to make an example out of me, I'm taking this to the highest court. I'm calling Trump. I'm calling Pam Bondi. I'm calling Cash Patel. I'm writing letters. I'm tweeting. I need y'all to see my case. I'm calling the news. I want my stuff to be public. I want her to be asked a question about it, or as somebody asked Trump with his transparent, always holding press conferences self. I want them to know that I was defending my property from a domestic terrorist who wound up getting his wig split all over the concrete or my front lawn from vandalizing my vehicle that I paid over $60,000 fucking for because he's an idiot. Mad over Musk. You get what you deserve when you do dumb shit like that. I'm just being honest. I want them to fight for me. I want the message to be known that if you do dumb stuff like this, you suffer literal grave consequences, and you brought it on yourself. I want the message out there. That's the only way these people will let up, is if the government gives me, a private citizen, full autonomy to split your wig for your stupidity. Flat out. In the case of self-defense.
More than 24,000 workers in these two agencies are in the process of being reinstated.
What is your message to these
The
workers?
cute little
and
Asian
can you
chick
assure
right here.
them they won't be fired again as the administration directs agencies to do more layoffs?
Well, the administration is complying with the court's order. Again, as I have spoken about repeatedly, we think it's despicable that we have judges acting as judicial activists, partisan activists, trying to dictate who the president of the United States, the executive of the executive branch, can hire and fire. We have never seen anything like this. We are fighting this in court, and we will continue to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. And as for federal employees, it's been the very common sense position of this president and the administration that bureaucrats here in Washington, D.C. need to show up to the office just like the rest of America. Middle-class Americans, from doctors to business owners to teachers to law enforcement officers, have to show up to their offices every single day. And the president has made it a clear priority that people in this city have to do the same. And we are also continue to be committed to reducing the scale of our workforce and to reducing the size of our federal bureaucracy here in Washington, D.C. to save taxpayers' money.
What she asked was, this was the Asian judge who talking about he gonna try to invoke that Trump needs to hire back all Doge employees and reinstate all Doge acts. Like, dude, like, get out of here with that. Get out of here. Like, ain't nobody paying no attention to you. Like, who are you? And that's what I'm talking about. Silly little stuff like this. Go talk to Congress about it as a judge. I'm not Congress, the Supreme Court. Take this goofy stuff to the Supreme Court and let them decide. You don't get to decide. You don't get to decide. You're a moron. You don't get to decide who we hire and fire as the president. Who are you? Who are you? I swear to God, the judge. A lot of these judges are committing political suicide. They're committing not just political suicide, but career career suicide. They're committing career suicide with this stupidity because they're taking these bribes from the Democratic Party to make these stupid rulings that will not hold up in court. Like, why would you do that? Like, it's not worth the 100, 200, 300K that you get when it costs you about 300K a year for you to maintain your home. So here they give you 300K. So now that's 1 year that you get to maintain your home. You're a moron. Let me stop. We're almost finished. I know I'm tired. I did that walk. My feet are feeling fine in this bubbly water. We're almost done.
Annie, go ahead.
In the statement that you read, you referenced the president's interest in helping return Ukrainian children to their parents, to their families. There's an organization that provides intel and information about those children that their aid has been cut. It's a Yale University program that used foreign aid. And I'm curious if, as part of this new thinking with Ukraine, that aid might be unfrozen.
I have no updates about that or that specific program at this time. Karen.
Thanks, Caroline. Just to follow up on your answer to the question on the minerals deal, you said that the White House has moved beyond the minerals deal. What does that mean? Is that no longer on the table?
Nope. It means the minerals deal was that first set of framework that you all saw in that very public meeting with President Zelensky and President Trump in the Oval Office. We are now focused on a long-term peace agreement. As you know, on that deal or that meeting between President Zelensky and President Trump, the Ukrainian president at the time wasn't talking about a greater peace deal. We are now at that place where we are talking about that. So we've moved beyond just the economic minerals deal framework, and we're looking at a lasting ceasefire. Right now, we're at a partial ceasefire. But again, the president is sending his highly skilled, intelligent, and experienced team to Saudi Arabia later this week to continue fighting for peace in this conflict. And I would just reiterate one more time, we have never been closer to peace than we are today. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see.
There we go. I love this presidency. You get a lot more transparency. You get a lot of real answers. All right. They're not shoving sticks and smoke and whatnot up your butt. They're being honest, at least honest to a fault. All right. I mean, you may not think so, but the answers are satisfactory enough for me. Do I trust what comes out of her mouth? For the most part, yes. But my thing is, okay, I hear you. Let's hold you to it. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what's up. Again, like with the Kennedy files, tell me who fired the fatal shot. That's all I want to know. All right, so I will probably catch y'all tomorrow afternoon on the Trump press conference that he did probably today that I probably have missed or whatnot. But yeah, you know, we'll do a stream Thursday night. We'll see. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe out there.
Okay, I believe that is an L. It is, in fact, an L. It was 6 hours ago. I couldn't even read a stop sign. All right, test me again. I want to go smaller. Smaller. All right.
Great work, Rob. Great work. See if you can read this. You're fired. And in case your ears are fucked, get the fuck out! And the next person I see juggling, tap dancing, or baton twirling, or doing any other circus-like tricks will join him, all right? One strike policy applies. Now get back to work. God damn, that felt good.